Until January 28, 1986, the space program seemed a success. The death of 7 astronauts before the eyes of millions around the world caused NASA to temporarily call a halt to its program. Despite the incredible level of technology that had been reached by aeronautical engineers and scientists, the space missions still contained an infinite amount of unknowns and risks that were virtually impossible to control. Like explorations throughout the history of man, the conquest of space is not accomplished without some pain and tragedy. Unlike the Americans, who were specializing in space programs having increasingly higher degrees of application, the Soviets were interested in developing programs involving life in orbit. The Mir space stations were virtual orbiting hotel laboratories. Under Gorbachev's influence, huge programs were begun to examine the effects of life in space. Aspects such as human relations among the team, daily routine, absence of landmarks, etc., were intensely studied. In April of 1989, 3 Soviet cosmonauts returned from an 8-month stay on a Mir station. A few hours after landing, Dr. Volkov and 2 other men would take their first steps, despite the effects the long period of weightlessness had on their bodies. These long, meticulous studies brought the scientists to the conclusion that extended stays in space have no long-lasting negative effect on the human organism. The condition being, of course, that the astronaut was in perfect physical condition to begin with. Extended periods in a weightless atmosphere eventually do, however, present certain problems with respiration, circulation to some parts of the body, and even deformation of the spinal column. Space sickness could affect even the most highly trained individual. It's only a little over 20 years that man has begun exploring space. We've succeeded in landing on the moon and sending signals into space to explore other planets in our solar system. But until now, man has only explored an infinitesimal part of the universe that surrounds him. Even if one day technology allows us to land on the planets furthest from the sun, we've not yet arrived at a point that would allow man to leave the solar system. No one knows if it will take centuries or millennium to reach the stars.